Blog Talk Radio.
What a pleasure it is to be back with everyone on Viatorian Voices, Conversations on the Way. Hi, everyone. This is Jim Mitchell, and today we're going to talk to a couple of familiar folks, people who those of you in the Viatorian community may be aware of already, and if not, a great opportunity to get to know these two young people. Joining me tonight are Ky Guerrero and Anthony Gugino, a couple of the youngest Viatorians, and they're going to share some of their thoughts about being involved in music ministry, among other things. So first of all, Ky and Anthony, I know starting off here Monday night, busy week ahead, I'm sure. So thank you both for taking the time to join me tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
Looking forward to the conversation. Now, let's go back. I know we've had the pleasure of talking to you in the past, and I know you've been featured in various other places throughout the Viatorian community. But start with you, Ky. How long have you been active in the church and involved in some of the ministries you are?
So I'm from St. Thomas More, is my home parish. I've actually been going to St. Thomas More since 2001. So I've been here for quite a while now. Yeah, that's mainly how I got introduced to the Viatorians, but it wasn't until high school when I went on my first BYC back in, I think, 2014, was when I fully got kind of immersed into the community and got to know everybody. So that's my background.
Okay, great. And Anthony, how about you?
I grew up baptized, born and raised at St. Viator Catholic Community in Las Vegas. Went to grade school there, and have had the privilege of working in music ministry there since 2008. Just starting out as a substitute pianist and working my way up to the music coordinator and music ministry associate, where I play the 5 o'clock mass and have gotten to know a lot of the Viatorians very well through that role, and also being the music director for the Viatorian Youth Congress for the past 5 years or so.
And the Viatorian Youth Congress is a significant gathering each year that brings Viatorians from across the globe together and really focuses on some of the great things that youth are doing, and I know you've both been involved in that. Now, Ky, I think St. Thomas More is in Henderson, Nevada, and Anthony, you're at, as you said, St. Viator Community. How close are those geographically to one another?
I would say about 10 minutes or so away from each other. So, they were sister parishes essentially, because the Viatorians started Bishop Gorman and then St. Viator Catholic Community as well as the parish school. And then they were asked to also start St. Thomas More. So, about 10 minutes from each other and, relatively close.
And Ky, Anthony mentioned his start in the music ministry. What instrument, Ky, do you play, and when did you get started?
I've been actually part of St. Thomas More's choir since I was a kid. I grew up basically doing that throughout elementary school, middle school, high school. At one point was a cantor, and now I just kind of do music ministry where I can. St. Thomas More has a LifeTeen program, and every so often we'll do worship for them, but that's kind of my background in music. I sing, and then I also play guitar.
So talk to me about the role of music in each of your parishes. I know different parishes throughout the country approach it different ways. Tell me a little bit about how deeply ingrained music is for each of you in the parishes you serve. So
at St. Viator, growing up, I think music was the only way to keep me quiet during Mass as a little kid. So, and watching my music teacher, who has been the music director at St. Viator since before I was a kid. She's been there for 30 plus years. Sherry Scott. She's a wonderful musician herself, and I've learned a lot about music ministry from her, as well as other music directors throughout, the Archdiocese of Las Vegas now. So, it's it's been a fun experience, learning from her and growing in music ministry. But it's a unique opportunity for me to, vocally animate the Mass through the music that I choose, and being able to see some of the music that I've brought into the parish being sung at, all the Masses, or, by the parish school even, helping out with a couple of school Masses recently, and, being able to hear them sing those songs at the top of their lungs is a pretty neat experience.
Yeah, that must be very, very fulfilling. And Kyla, what about you in terms of the role you get to play?
I was saying, being a cantor and all that, I've been able to, help pretty much, not necessarily, but, worship with, those parishioners in Mass. And, the musical director at St. Thomas More, Lisa Fairweather, growing up, she always told us that singing worship is like praying twice. And I always keep that sentiment whenever I would lead Taizé or adoration or anything like that for the LifeTeen program. And I can see how music really touches the teens, especially when it comes to prayer. It's something that maybe they're not experienced it on their day to day, and it's just kind of that new level of prayer that they get to be a part of, and I think that's really cool.
And Anthony, you mentioned introducing new music. Have you been able to identify types of music or songs that perhaps hadn't been traditionally included, and start to introduce those into the worship services?
Yeah, so when I first started, back in 2008, I just was a substitute pianist, and kind of grew into where our youth minister, who's an associate, Rosie Hart, really had a desire to bring a youth band to our Sunday evening Mass. And so at the time, we started out with just one Mass per month, and we did mostly contemporary Catholic music, which in 2014, I took over the 5 o'clock Mass fully every week, and kind of morphed into more contemporary Christian. But I also like to use, the old Catholic hymns and transform them into something new and give them a fresh breath of air, so then that way we kind of honor the past, but also use songs that were recently written as well. So then that way there's something for everyone within a Mass.
We're having a great conversation tonight with Ky Guerrero and Anthony Gugino from various parishes in Nevada. They are talking about their role in youth ministry, and certainly appreciate their input and taking the time to join us tonight. As we continue and move just a little bit beyond just music ministry, each of you have taken the step to become associates in the Viatorian community, and that's something we've talked to a number of people about. Ky, can you kind of first tell us a little bit about your journey to pursue that opportunity and what it's meant for you so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So I went on my first Viatorian Youth Congress back in 2014, and ever since then, I pretty much have the mentality of okay, what's next for me in this community? Because I always felt like the Viatorians were a home for me. And so after going on VYC a couple of times as a delegate, eventually came back as a leader, eventually came back as a music leader, and then at that point, remember I was talking to Julianne Dwyer in the middle of the city of Chicago, and I was like, how do I become an associate? That was kind of that to me was the next step in furthering my role in the community. And ever since then, it felt like a whirlwind. It's just event after event, and opportunity after opportunity, and it's been an awesome journey, and I'm excited to see where it leads from here. I think especially with St. Viator and St. Thomas More being so close in proximity, especially with music ministry, Anthony can also speak to this, but whenever there's any sort of music ministry that's necessary, because we're so close, it's just hey, you want to come over, and we get to share that, which is really nice. But yeah, it's just been a whirlwind of opportunities. So.
And you used the word there a couple times, leadership. is that an important part of your experience, is being able to lead and perhaps influence others, particularly other young people?
Yeah, absolutely. VYC was such like a pivotal point for me in my faith, and I, as a leader in the LifeTeen program at St. Thomas More, I'm in charge of a specific group of teens called the Young Disciples, who are juniors and seniors in high school who come back and help lead the confirmation program. So it's important to me to help like foster that leadership at such a young age, and having them be able to like lead their peers in a life with Christ.
Now, Anthony, tell us about how and where you suddenly made the decision to pursue the role as an associate in the community.
Yeah, so I actually went on the very first Viatorian Youth Congress in 2010, and kind of similar to Ky, felt very comfortable, getting to know the Viatorians in an informal way and understand the charism and the mission of the community as a whole. And I kept going on BYC, and eventually, as a leader, as a young adult coordinator, as a music leader, as the music director, and I stay involved with UIC, and so throughout all that, associates from various regions, as well as, the professed brothers and priests of the community invited me to consider being a associate, and I said yes, and I believe like in 2017 was when I committed, and I've been an associate for a couple of years now, and also serve on the regional leadership team here in Las Vegas, Henderson, which has been an eye-opening experience as well.
And just a couple minutes left here, but Anthony, and you're both referred to by members of the Viatorian community as among the youngest associates in the community, but I'm sure as you're involved in music ministry and the youth congress, you look out and see a lot of faces and get to know people who are younger than you, who are at the point that you were at when you started the journey. Anthony, what's it like for you to kind of have that contact with younger people and have the ability to help answer questions and guide them along the way?
Yeah, I think because of associates like myself, Ky, my twin brother Tommy, and there's a good number of us younger associates now that we're breathing some life into the community, and the associates that have been in the community for a while, look at us as equals and really respect what we're doing, and we respect them. But for the younger generation, like the most recent Viatorian Youth Congress that we have, all of the leaders that are in college, they're interested in becoming associates. So then it's how do we, keep a relationship with them? How do we foster that? And how do we keep them engaged? So then that way when they are ready and able to become associates, how do we invite them and into our community and help continue the community grow here in the province of Chicago?
Well, I think it's really, really amazing the work that both of you have done and continue to do, and great examples for so many other people in the community. I want to thank you for taking the time today and wish you well in your continued success, not only in music ministry, but as associates and in serving the Viatorian community. So, Ky and Anthony, thank you very much for being here. The Viatorian community proclaims Jesus Christ and His gospel and raises communities where faith is lived, deepened, and celebrated. Founded by Venerable Louis Curbs, Viatorians are professed brothers, priests, and as you heard, lay associates, striving to do everything well so that through us Jesus may be adored and loved. We thank the music ministers who joined us today on behalf of the Viatorians. I'm Jim Mitchell. Thank you so much for being a part of our podcast.